Fine then, I'll just take paternity leave. Many years ago, I was a sales manager for the now defunct Circuit City. My wife and I were expecting our first child. This was in 1999. My wife was leaving her place of employment as she was planning on staying home with our daughter. Once she was born, being our first child, I wanted to be home for a little while at the beginning. As I was talking to my store manager to arrange having some time off when my daughter was born, I asked for a week off. I was met with opposition and told I could only have 2 days off, because we don't have extra management coverage. Yet we somehow cover people's vacations. This was absolutely ridiculous, and luckily I had done my homework. The way the FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act, law is written, the parents can take up to 12 weeks of maternity, paternity leave, and their job is guaranteed to be waiting for them when they return. I believe this is meant to be combined between the parents. But since my wife was leaving her job permanently and not taking maternity leave, that left 12 weeks available for me to take. Paternity leave is rarely ever done, because it is most often unpaid leave. I, however, had plenty of PTO saved up, vacation and sick time. So, I informed the store manager that I would be filing for paternity leave under FMLA and would in fact be taking 12 weeks off and would be using my saved PTO to cover my income. He tried to argue with me, but I told him he should probably go contact our. He returned later that day and sheepishly asked me if I would accept the week I originally asked for. I told him that I would accept 2 weeks or 12 and that the choice was his. I ended up with 2 weeks, and that store manager learned that. Though I was young at the time, I wasn't going to be pushed around, and that reasonable requests should be reasonably accepted. I would have taken the full 12 weeks. FYI, the 12 weeks is applicable to each individual parent regardless of what the other parent does. It is abysmally depressing that 2 weeks was a win here. Parents deserve better. That 2 weeks is probably what made them go under. RIP, Circuit City. Now this is how you comply. Well done, op. I'm surprised no one is commenting on the fact that in 1999 a retail employee could support a family of 3. Good play. But my advice is to always file for the FMLA under intermittent, especially if both parents are returning to work. This way you can take a week or 2 off as the father while the mother recuperates. Then when both are working, both have the ability to take days off to care for the child if it gets sick or when it needs doctor's appointments. Even if the mother does stay home, this means the father can take a week right after birth, then another a month later, then a day here and there, then another 2 weeks when the child is 6 months old. You get to spend a little bit of the early time with the child. You are available for when the child is sick, or the mother is not feeling well or just needs a break. And you can space it out over months instead of being out 12 weeks right after birth. I left my last job of 12 years over something similar. I had just proposed to my now wife, and her family wanted me to come for their annual Christmas holidays in Mexico, where she is from. It was for the week leading up to Christmas, so I didn't want to take vacation. But obviously it's a big deal in terms of what's going on in my life. So I asked to work remote for the 1 week. They said no, so I goodbye, pulled my retirement savings, enjoyed a month in Mexico, and found a better job when I got back, where I'm much more appreciated. Of note, our WFH policy was 4 days in 10. I usually worked from the office anyway, so really, we were talking about 1 extra remote day per policy. It's pushing corporations like this that have long-term effects. HR learned that some fathers want paternity leave, You help build institutional knowledge. One small step for dad. One giant step for fatherhood. Awesome. My first was born in 2000, and I took 6 weeks of paternity leave. It was an amazing time. Until your post, I had no idea the FMLA was so old. I had to look it up. Great that you read the rules and stood up for yourself. I had 8 weeks of maternity leave and my employer allowed me to collect the unemployment benefits during that time because I was ineligible for FMLA. I was part-time, working less than 30 hours even though I worked for them for 2 years. Ha! I love these stories. My company is always saying how short we are and stuff. But every vacation gets covered. FMLA is for the care of an eligible family member. And it is not a paid leave necessarily. Just want people to be aware. You have to file legal paperwork with your hour. Know your option. Don't just assume. Well done, sir! Exclamation mark. And a very belated congratulations. It is not meant to be combined between the two parents. You each get 12 weeks. Good work. You're not obligated to take all 12 weeks of FMLA. You could have used any number of those days. Doesn't even need to be consecutive necessarily. Did they pay out that other 10 weeks when they closed?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.